Hey, everybody. Last night I was talking to a friend and he was like, I didn't get notified when your Facebook Live went off. And I was like, it's always coming from generally from my public page. And I said, okay, you're right. I need to do one from the private page, especially for us late night people. As you all know, on here, I'm Maria, but Dr. Angela Shuttlesworth of Be.Lead.Grow.com. And I wanted to come on for a very brief second just to talk about the reality of life. It's so funny to me how people will see some of my videos and pictures and think that I don't get discouraged. It's this assumption that, everything is just perfect, right? And I see some of you all jumping on. Let me know who you are in the group. Tell me where you coming from. I see some people on there now. I can see it on the laptop too. But so who's on with me? Let me know in the comments section. So, oh, hey, Rashawn. So, the reality is I get discouraged too. And I have, negative self-talk that comes up. And the thing about it is, like, even just before this video, I said, oh, funny, she on here. Hey, Quanisha. I just sent Quanisha a text and it was a picture of me. And I'm like, my head, I wasn't that bad. I wasn't at that point yet. But I was like, like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to get on. And it was just one of those days, right? It was one of those moments. Hey, Kim. Hey, Isha. Hey, Sherman. And where I just was like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to. But, the reality is earlier today, I was up at the hair shop and I was getting my little braids tightened up. And I was like, you know what? I had to realize the responses I got earlier today. I sent out an email to my tribe and I was asking them some questions around, are they comfortable with being great consistently? And I posted on LinkedIn too. I guess I haven't posted it in here. But the conversation is, yes, we know how to be consistent. We know how to show up. My goal always says to help leaders to show up and show out in all areas of their lives by removing the barriers so we can thrive. But sometimes we know how to show up as a daughter. We know how to show up as a mother. We know how to show up as a father. We know how to show up in roles, but we don't know how to show up as our highest self. And a lot of times that comes from either our voices being silenced or us silencing our own voice, right? And so I was like, you know what, we need to have this conversation because I am a very vocal person, thankfully. And, but sometimes I realize, we have to pause and ask ourselves some questions. And as you all know, I have the masterclass coming up on Monday, which you are still more than welcome to join us. It's Be.Lead.Grow.com/discover my power. And the masterclass is discover your power by discovering your voice or rediscovering your voice. And one of the main questions is, how has your voice been silenced? And we go into a deeper dive, of course, of not only just silencing, but when when not only your voice has been silenced, but when, think about your silence just not being heard or being disregarded and or not being the thing that drives movement, right? Not being the deciding factor and or where your voice was disrespected. And, I just think about those times, particularly culturally, we're told, children are to be seen and not heard. So you grow up thinking that, there's only certain spaces where you're supposed to be allowed to talk. Hey, Renita, thanks for joining in. So I'm sure some of y'all have been told before, y'all have heard me. I'm not alone, right? I'm seeing the hearts. I'm seeing the likes. So I'm not the only one who was told children are to be seen and not heard. That sticks with you because we think about it as kids, you start in this space of, okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk or I got to wait for approval for somebody else to talk to me. Think about us in the classroom and all of that good stuff. And that just doesn't just go away. You have to do something intentionally to allow yourself to shift to a space of saying, okay, I'm powerful and I get to decide when I show up. And sometimes we think that, like I use my voice, I talk. There's a difference from talking opposed to commanding authority and using your power and coming from a position of power when you're having a conversation with somebody. Those are two very different things. And if you know, and if you followed any of my work, I personally believe, and it's true, that power is your voice plus your choice. So it's the way that you use your voice and the way that you make decisions coupled together is how you demonstrate your ultimate power. And so I was sitting there thinking about, all the times that my voice had been silenced. So I thought about culturally and as a child, but then there was also times in the workplace where I got silenced either because I'm a woman or I was silenced because I'm either, that sometimes made me talk even more if I was the only black at the table. Like, you're going to hear my voice. And even that in itself is not a good thing, because then you feel like you just got to be loud versus it being something that's a sincere space of, I really have something to say. I really am adding value to this conversation. Or I'm not giving myself enough time to think because I got to be so quick and I got to respond because I got to do this and I got to do that. I ain't got to do nothing, as my mom used to say, but stay black and die. But, just thinking about that. And I also specifically remember one of the conversations, we were in a meeting. I'll never forget it. And I was one of those, because I was one of the youngest directors that the agency had ever seen, if not the youngest. I made sure that I knew what I was talking about, right? So I would be in the meeting and I would know my facts. And my boss at the time was like, no, Angela, you don't, this is incorrect. One has nothing to do with the other. We were talking about funding. And I'm like, actually, I just left a meeting. We were just talking about, X, Y, and Z. And she literally put up her hand. Now, y'all know me, right? So I'm like, we really gonna do that today? We gonna do it today? Okay, we gonna do it today. And I'm like, no. And I chose in that moment to speak. I knew I was right. But then there's times where we may have the right information, but it's not the right time, or it's not the right space. And so other people might not be ready for what's right. And so you have to think about, what are you doing in those scenarios? What are you doing when somebody else doesn't want to hear what you have to say? And that happens a lot. But instead, and like I said in the beginning, I get extremely doubtful at times. Y'all think, as I said, we were talking about the other day, starting a business is hard. Starting a business overseas is crazy hard. It's insane. And then with things changing and thinking I would be with a group for a while, and then realizing I had to do it on my own eventually, it was nothing that I would have ever signed up for, but it was everything that I needed. And a lot of it was getting in tune with who I was, what I desired for myself, what I was willing to tolerate, what I was not willing to tolerate, but most of all, what I was willing to create. It wasn't about anybody else. It was really about, at the end of the day, I had to make a decision. What was I going to do for myself? And what was I going to put myself in a position of power? And I see some of you all are commenting on here. Let me see. And then I see a whole bunch of yeps, I even got an inbox message. Must be not giving up must be the theme, just at the verge of me giving up. Please don't. Please don't. And that's what we're here for. And Quanisha was on here earlier. She just did a video about the importance. And y'all know me. I always say I'm a village baby turned village lady. I cannot do this on my own. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Period. And we all need each other. We need each other to survive. And the thing about it is, sometimes the reality is that we can't have other people to be the voice for us that we need to hear, that gets us to push on. Or we need to identify people and create a new tribe around us to support us and to empower us, to give us what we need to keep on keeping on, right? So when we realize that, hey, Renita, you better know it too. That's right. That it's important for us to have what we need. And one of the questions I used to ask my students was, what is required for you to maintain your peace? And oftentimes, a lot of us don't even think about that. And for us, it can be down to the simplest things. Like for me, I used to love coming home and seeing lines in my carpet. I would love dishes being done, my bed made. Like, those were the things that if I saw that, I felt like I had order. I felt like I was able to enjoy myself. Hey, Bora, thanks for joining in Amsterdam. And so it was those little simple things that mattered to me. How I started my day, I had to have music. So now every single day I dance, because that's something that brings me joy. So when you get to a space of knowing what is it that brings you joy, what makes you smile? And I always say it makes you smile with your liver, or what makes your heart smile. And we don't stop and think about those things. But all of those questions are what influence whether or not we choose to use our voice. And of course, there's more. And so I hope that some of you all will join us in the masterclass. It's going to be next Monday, and it is online. So somebody asked earlier, like, where is the class? It's online, so you can be wherever you want to be. And even if you have something going on, it's on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll get a live recording, and you get an automatic email where you can submit your questions to make sure your stuff is on the recording if you can't be there live. We already have a private Facebook community. People are already joining in. And it's like, let's go ahead and give you the support that you need. And my thing is always, if you could do it yourself, you would have done it already. It would already be done. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And so, just to be completely authentic, I did a program called the 31 Days of Power. And it was intense. So like every day I was sending them these strategies and all of this stuff. And I had to realize, and I learned at the end, that it was overwhelming because a lot of people had not done that type of work. But I'm up here like, oh, here you go. And then the next day, I didn't give you time to absorb and to think it and stuff and to really make it be what it needed to be to get you to the place that you want it to be, right? Now, some people are still to this day working on it, and I love when I get emails and people are like, oh my goodness, I'm on this day, and all of those different things. So it's always, I'm grateful for that. But this time, somebody said, go back to the very beginning and meet people where they are and realize that, because one of my why for why I even started this business is I hate robots. And my thing is, in order for you to better engage other people and for you to show up and show out, you got to show up and show out for you. And if you allowing other people to silence you, then and you're silencing yourself, I'm pretty sure you silencing other people too. And there's nothing like, we always talk about other people being oppressors, but we don't realize how much we oppress others as well. And you may silence people and not even know that you're silencing them. And or you're being disregarding them. You say, yep, it's all about the one-on-one. Exactly. So I had to come back and was like, okay, let's start with this masterclass. And of course, the next one's going to be on choice. But this one is about, oh, hey, Tobias, thanks for joining in. And you know, in HR, you're the true HR expert. And I just love y'all. You know, as a director of organizational development, I got to see so much. And I used to be a professor teaching human development and human behavior. And it was just so interesting how much people just didn't understand about the connection and life cycle, just basic stuff, like what you're supposed to receive. And so if I didn't have an expectancy and I didn't know that what it was like for somebody to nurture my voice, to actually listen and not listen just to respond, but to actually what it felt like to be heard, what it felt like to speak to myself from a positive place and to give me what I need from the inside. A lot of times people have not experienced that because they didn't get it in their household. They only got the negative aspects. But yet we're coming into these professional settings thinking that everybody's supposed to be able to show up as a professional. You know, he was like, this is a professional setting. But what does that mean? You know, people don't know. We have to go back to, again, like Carla was saying, the one-on-one, the basics of that. So I just wanted to come on here and say that, you know, somebody asked again, was it an online space? Another question was around, you know, who's invited? Who is it for? And I'm like, if it tugs at you, you're invited. So I put a picture up earlier today and was like, you're invited. If any of these different things relate to you, then it's for you. And it's a very small investment. It's $47. And it's a 90-minute, again, call where you're going to get your training, you'll get your workbook, you will get the private Facebook community, and then you'll get also some special offerings as well, because we're going to do a 4-week intensive after that. But it is definitely something that you should consider. So I'm going to get off of here so I can go watch Greenleaf, because like I said, contrary to popular belief, I do enjoy my life. I do go to sleep because people are like, how are you doing all of this stuff? And I'm like, trust, I know how to schedule stuff, and or I sleep when most people are up working. So I'm up at night because I hadn't completely shifted from being in Thailand. And so trust y'all, I'm enjoying myself. I'm not just working like crazy. So just wanted to put it out there. Just wanted to let you know what some of the things are. And as all of y'all yeps and you understands and your hearts and stuff are appreciated, I appreciate your support. And I appreciate how other people show up for me. And in this time, I want you all to be empowered and be encouraged to show up for you. And whatever that means for you. It may be joining the masterclass. And again, you can go to Be.Lead.Grow.com/discover my power. And we're starting out by discovering your voice and getting you to nurture and to really learn how to hear from yourself. Because trust and believe, this media and the influence of the media is, oh, thank you, girl. You know I try. But the influence of the media, and it's a lot of just noise coming at us. You know, bam, bam, bam. You feel like you got to fight it all, and you got to decide what social media post you're gonna talk to, and who you gonna respond through in text, and then you got to talk in email, then you got to answer the phone. It is a lot. And I told y'all on another video, I think in another group, I was like, I am very intentional. I use my do not disturb option. My ringer sometimes, if I'm in a zone, my ringer's off, and I am A-okay with making a decision to show up for me and to be present with my voice before I am always feeling that I have to give and be present for everybody else. I give from my overflow. Once I have completed my assignment with myself, then I show up for others. And we have to get to that place where it's okay, where we're not allowing fear to silence us. Because like, if I don't do this, or if I don't say that, then somebody else is going to feel this, or somebody else is going to do that. That's not fair. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you. So be encouraged. Know that I'm rooting for you. I'm here to support you. And I wish you all nothing but the best. And as you all know, I'm here to help you remove the barriers and thrive, because my goal is to help leaders increase their profit, performance, and power. Y'all got it. We just got to tune in and use it. So love and hugs. Some of y'all will see this in the morning. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm here to support you. Take care. And y'all get some rest. I'm going to go watch Greenleaf.